1, 2, 3.
Today's the second time I got to swim with dolphins, which is so cool. Alright, it's official. We just pulled up anchor for the last time in Mexico.
Yeehaw!
Woohoo! We've got a fishing line out and we are underway. Start of a 14-day sail.
It's gonna be a long one.
A long one. Let's do it. Adios, Mexico. Hasta luego.
Mexico, you've been good to us. Until next time, Central America, here we come.
Good. We pulled up anchor and we are out of here.
We're leaving Mexico on Mother's Day, or Mother's Day back in the USA at least. It's a different day here in Mexico.
Yeah.
So Hillary's giving her mum a quick call, wish her a happy Mum's Day before we get out of service, because we won't have any mobile phone service now for probably a couple of weeks. We will have our sat phone so we can stay in touch with them that way, and that's where we'll be doing our weather. Weather looks okay for the time being. The far out forecast doesn't look great, but it's, you can't predict anything that far out. I mean, that was 10 plus days away, so it's not even reliable at all. Day one of this will be our longest passage to date. So wish us luck, everyone. We'll see you on the other end.
Leaving Zihuatanejo in southern Mexico, we pointed Varuna south, aiming for a landfall in Central America, a passage of about 1,300 nautical miles.
Passing us on by right now. What?
Fishy!
Fishy!
Fish on!
What kind of fish? Whoa, we got a fish! We got a fish, hold on.
Oh, he's a big one.
Pull it! Pull it! 2 fish at once, huge fish hit the lines, and what happened?
They got off. It bent the hook backwards and somehow got away. Sad day.
Man! But there's fish out here.
Gonna catch one.
What I was trying to say before Hillary created all that commotion about the fish that never existed, I never saw it. We had a couple of other boats just coincidentally left Zihuatanejo just after us today and have passed us now. Longer water line, it'll do that, they travel faster. Both of these boats are going to Nicaragua, but I think they're either stopping in Acapulco first, or maybe they'll go all the way down to Huatulco. But they're definitely not doing a long direct crossing like we are. They'll probably be in the vicinity for the next couple of days, I would imagine at least. And we have all of us here have AIS as well, so it makes it a good way to keep an eye out for each other. It's morning of our 3rd day now. We're in the middle of shipping lanes right now. Just had a cargo ship pass by us about 1.5 miles off. Had a couple more pass pretty close by in the night. I don't know, I'd say we're around about 60 miles, 70 miles off the coastline right now. It's very humid. We're wearing less and less clothing now. We don't even need to put on a shirt here at night because it's so warm. So I just put the life vest on. I got my tether. Had the spinnaker. We flew the spinnaker all night last night. We set the pole up yesterday. Good news is the pole works. Bad news is, like we thought, it is a lot heavier. So extending the pole is tougher. Wind has completely died here today. We don't even know where we are. We're 100 miles off? No, I think we're only about 70 miles offshore.
No, we're less than that. We're only like 30 to 40.
Oh, okay. Well, there's no land in sight, but it is kind of hazy and cloudy. Where the water is so clear out here, we could see the Dorado in the water. Hillary pointed him out. I thought she was joking. And the Dorado were just swimming right around us. Not on our lure, though.
Ooh.
But now I've just got to rinse off from my bath time.
It is morning of day 3. Wind is kind of non-existent. All day yesterday it was like dead calm. We had the spinnaker and the pole up most of the day and just kind of drifted along 2, maybe 3 knots max. And then overnight the wind totally died, totally flat. Now we are motor sailing up the Main and the Genoa out, and a little bit of a headwind that we're gonna hope fills in so we can sail and kill this motor. And just like that, we have the motor off. We are under sail again. Well, this afternoon, after our super slow morning, the wind picked up. It's nice and windy. We're sailing close hauled. We're about 35 miles west of Huatulco, Mexico. And all day long, we've seen a few other sailboats around, like big race type looking boats. And one of them just called us on the radio. Turns out it's the Clipper Around the World race. And this guy's gonna pass us less than a mile off of our stern. It's number 25. Charlie Victor number 25.
Whoever that is.
Charlie Victor 25 just off behind me here. I'll give you a look here in a second. Hillary was telling him how we saw them on AIS earlier today, much earlier. The other 2 were still on AIS earlier, but then they all miraculously disappeared. So when we were chatting to this guy, he was very cloak and dagger about where he actually is. He said, I don't know how it's at every leg, but apparently they're at some point they're allowed to do a 24-hour silent run so they can sneak up or run away from their competitors. So that's what they're doing right now. They're running in silent mode. That's why we don't have tracks on them. And he wanted to give us a call to make sure we saw him because we're going to be about a half a mile. He's coming behind us. All right.
The Clipper race is a round-the-world yacht race, divided into several individual legs. It's unique from other races in that it's not limited to professionals. Anyone can apply to join and be a part of the crew. There they are, Charlie Victor 25. We later found out that this leg of the race had been called early due to the lack of wind, and that Charlie Victor 25, or Team Dare to Lead, had won the leg after taking an offshore tack and finding the same wind out here as we found. 16, 17 knots there, which was not forecast at all.
No, even our most recent weather download didn't mention anything like this.
The one we just did, but I don't know, we're happy to be moving.
We're very happy to be moving.
We later learned that this team was unique in that it's not sponsored by a corporation or organization, but was founded by Dirk van Dale, who wanted to inspire others to grow and become leaders. A big congrats to the crew, and we wish them all the best of luck in the final legs.
And we're very happy to be catching fish.
I wish. Where are the fish? There are no fish. No fish. Whoa, fish just jumped right there.
Under our lure.
Right next to it.
You gotta put your past behind you. Look, kid. Bad things happen, and you can't do anything about it, right? Wrong! When the world turns its back on you, you turn your back on the world.
Well, that's not what I was told.
Then maybe you need a new lesson. Repeat after me. Hakuna Matata.
What?
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
Charlie Victor 26 receiving Charlie Victor 30 over. Charlie Victor 30 out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the dreaded Tehuantepec, or Bay of Tehuantepec, which is in southern Mexico. It's one of the southernmost points of Mexico before you get into the checkout ports of Chiapas and so on. This bay here is notorious for extremely strong winds. Quite regularly it is gale force winds coming through here. Those winds actually come across from the Atlantic or the Caribbean side, and they whip out of the Gulf of Mexico and then kind of come straight across the narrow little valley there and come right out of a town. Mostly the main part is called, I think, Salina Cruz. And right now we're probably about 110 miles or so off of Salina Cruz. Our choice was to just go further off. We wanted a more direct route. We also figured if there was any kind of winds, it's usually a little bit better this far out. You need to go further out. The good news is this is the time of the year to do this crossing. This is actually the better weather window right now to come down here. This is pretty close to the region where a lot of the hurricanes will start to form before they tend to make their way northwestish, maybe back into Baja or something like that. The good news is that, as you can probably see right now, and as you can tell by the spinnaker we're flying back here, there is no wind. We've been fighting, looking for wind for the last few days. It doesn't look like it's going to get any better. Very inconsistent winds around this area, which is what we had seen from the pilot charts. There was no real consistent wind direction at this time of year. It's been really slow going. We've had to motor a lot more than we would normally. We've drifted a bit. As you can hear, the mainsail back there. I hate that sound of the battens backwards and forwards. It's so irritating, and I don't think it's really good for it either. We'll have a little look around, just see what we're doing on the boat today and what's going on. I don't even know what day we're on now. I would say it's day 5 or 6, maybe probably day 5. And it's hot. It's really hot. Hot computer.
You have a little shield from getting burnt.
We do have the water maker going. Looks like about 8.5 to 9 gallons from what I can see. We'll run that water maker for around about an hour. It tends to be what we do. It's almost a full tank anyway, just keeping it topped up while we've got good sun and good power. So we're using about 20 amps right now. That's with the inverters on, running the Mac, which uses quite a bit, plus the water maker's running, plus we've got the refrigerator running at full ball.
Autopilot?
The autopilot, yeah, because there's not enough wind to run Dan right now. So that's a lot of power, but thankfully we've got good sun out. And I think our batteries are pretty topped off here, so they're 96%. So plenty of time once we're done running this for the batteries to charge up for the rest of the day. How about a look at our logbook? Here's where we're at right now on our log. We've got our date, all in UTC, date, time, lat long, our wind, speed over ground. We're doing the mag heading, our barometer, engine hours, and then just whatever other remarks we've got. One of the main things we're keeping an eye on right now on our log is definitely the barometric pressure, because that'll give us any kind of heads up on if there's a storm or worse depression heading our direction. This right here is the route that Predict Wind did for us on a weather outing before we left. We had 4 different models. This is the GFS model, which is the Global Forecast System, kind of the standard model. We exported that and imported it into here just to give us a general idea of where we want to head and what the computer models think we should be doing. It's the general direction we wanted to head. We wanted to be offshore from, this is the Bay of Tehuantepec I was talking about here. So we're, 110 something miles out right now from there. We're not 100% sure on where we're going to head yet. Our thought is probably northern Costa Rica around Bahia Salinas. If I add this, I'll add in our current grid download, and you can see right now it's basically saying we should have 7 knots basically out of the northeast. I think the wind is out of the northeast right now. 7 knots it is not, that's for sure. The grid on here though is downloaded through our Iridium, which is sitting right here. This is, I think, a 3-day that I downloaded yesterday. I just kind of keep it updated every couple of days. There's no point in really going out further than that because it's just not going to be accurate. Right now they all kind of line up that it's erratic winds and not much winds, but no storms, no depressions, and that's what really matters to us right now. 1, 2, 3.
How was it?
It's good.
Nice warm water.
Yeah, warm water. Nice slow pod of dolphins came by. just chilling out pretty slowly. So Hillary does what she does best and jumps in the middle of the ocean and goes to have a look for him. We'll see if she can get up to him at all.
It was an amazing treat to be able to get in the water with these friendly, pan-tropical spotted dolphins, who were so graceful and incredible to watch.
They're really slow and friendly guys right now. So here's Hillary over here.
Pretty cool to see these guys underwater. They're curious too. I can see them swimming up to me and looking at me. Pretty cool. They look much more whale-like than I expected underwater. Pretty cool. Really cool, actually. So this is one of the good things about no wind. It sucks we're not moving, but how cool is it? I can just get in and swim with dolphins here and swim faster than the boat.
Hillary's going to give a pull on our ladder here. Make sure it comes down.
A little test.
Yep, looks good to me.
Yeah. Where is the wind? It's not here.
This is supposed to be the really windy section too in the Tehuantepec, but we apparently picked a really good weather window with no wind. Actually, we were hoping for a bit of wind, but there's none here.
It would be nice to have a little bit, but the motor on yet again. I just finished up from when I did our little spinnaker repair last year. This tape didn't go all the way down to the bottom the way I had mended it. And I noticed that it was kind of starting to tear into the sail there. So I just sewed this down a bit further into this reinforced area. And then I also tightened this tension line up a little bit too to try and take some of the tension off the sail and put it more on the line. Hello. Hello, Booby. Hello, Turtle. Hello. For a few days out here, it felt like time was suspended. Our lives became a mix of relaxing on the boat and swimming in the clear waters around us to cool down and check out the sea life. We were amazed at the amount of life we found surrounding us, despite being in deep water almost 100 miles offshore. Beneath Varuna, we had attracted a small school of jacks, along with quite a few baby pilot fish. These stunning black and white striped fish generally follow large marine life, such as sharks, manta rays, and sea turtles, feeding on parasites and leftover scraps of food, but they are also known to follow ships. Swimming in this incredible, crystal clear blue water is one of those unique experiences that you can only get out at sea. And we feel so fortunate to be sailing Varuna and able to do things like this. I don't think this is an experience that either one of us will forget.
We're maybe 3/4 of the way across the Tehuantepec, and we have had a very calm crossing.
There's literally zero wind, so what better thing to do than swim? And today's the second time I got to swim with dolphins, which is so cool. It's amazing swimming with them. They're kind of curious and kind of just like looking at you like, what are you doing out here? The water is so warm too. The first few feet is hot like bath water.
It is getting very hot. The boat is extremely warm. It doesn't cool down. And we're probably going to go back to motor again for a few hours here in a minute. We had the spinnaker up all night, mostly adrift. We were doing maybe 3 knots there at some points. This morning we just started kind of drifting at about a knot. There's no wind out here to fill the sails. So right now we're just out here in the big open blue ocean with nothing to do. And no storms coming, so we're not in a rush. So we're gonna hang out between down below watching shows and up top listening to podcasts with buckets of water on our head and a dip every now and then.
Yep.
Still no fish. Day, what is it, day 5, day 6, day 7? Okay, so 6 days. Day 6.
Back to the hot boat.
Look at this, we've got a bit of breeze. We're out sailing finally. Did a lot of motoring again today. Did a lot of drifting, did a lot of swimming. Thank goodness we now have some breeze, and we did the weather check just now. And if we can believe the weather, it says we might consistently have at least a 4 to 5 knots for the next few days straight, without any real dead periods, but we'll see.
With a bit of breeze filling back in, we were happy to have the sails filled and got Dan, our wind vane, set up and steering away into the sunset. Well, after another very, very, very calm night, we kind of drifted along. We were able to sail a little bit, drift some of the night, but we have the motor back on now as the sun's coming up. Our fuel gauge doesn't work right now. It stopped working, I don't know, a while ago. So last night, or this morning before we started the motor up, we did kind of a manual fuel check with the dipstick. We've also been recording our engine hours. Looks like we've used about 20 gallons of diesel, 30 left. We're just trying to conserve it. We obviously can't motor the whole way, so we're just trying to balance drifting, motoring, and sailing when we can. We've had lightning pretty much every night since we've been out here sailing, but last night it was definitely the brightest. And as you can see behind me, all these big thunderheads, big cumulus clouds that are kind of finally dispersing, but it can't be too long until we get some real like thunder, lightning, rain at night here. Time to go find a turtle! 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 He ran away.
The water doesn't look quite as clear. I wonder if that's just the way the lighting is right now too.
Could be. It's really hot. The top layer here is crazy hot. And then it's a nice cool layer down by our toes. It is crazy how glassy, still calm it is out here. Crazy to think that such a large section of ocean like this could just be totally still, no wind. It looks like a little tiny lake. It's a mirror. It's so flat. Crazy. With the calmest seas we've seen yet, and some activity in the water, we had nothing else to do but jump in and check it out.
What are you doing in the water?
Just looking around.
You swimming with dolphins?
Dolphins. We were hoping there was something else, but mostly just dolphins.
Bunch of dolphins coming back at us here now.
Watching these dolphins swim around us never gets old, and we love listening to their whistles and clicks underwater.
I guess one of the good things about when it's really slow and still is we have to find something to do, so we just keep jumping off the boat and swimming with things. Right now Hillary's in the water, but she wants to get back on. You want back on?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Made it back.
That is how glassy calm it is out here. Today has been definitely the stillest day by far.
So still.
Not even a light breeze. You see every now and then a couple of ripples on the water.
Which is like a 2-knot little puff, and then it disappears. But
And a
pretty
little bit of
cool
drifting.
to be able to stop out here literally in the middle of nowhere, miles and miles. Yesterday it was like 100 miles offshore we swam. It's a bit closer today.
I think we're like 40 miles off,
from
almost off of Guatemala.
Guatemala and Mexico
We're
border.
pretty close to the border.
But to be able to just stop out here and like hang out with whatever's out here is pretty cool.
Yeah, just stopping and checking out whatever, right? We saw something that looked like there was something feeding, so we kind of chased that down, and we found a bunch of turtles we got in with, a bunch of dolphins. Dolphins are everywhere out here.
Jellyfish and different, I don't know, weird little, not quite jellyfish, but weird little floaty things all over in the water.
Weird little floaty things.
Well, today it actually really truly is official. We are out of Mexico. Not just paperwork-wise that we didn't see Guatemala, but we have crossed the border. We're now in Guatemalan waters. So we figured it's probably time to take our Mexican flag down. I think technically we were supposed to do it once we checked out of the country, but we never got around to it. So what better time than now, once we're really gone from Mexico.
If anyone knows the Mexican national anthem off the top of their head, now's the time to sing it.
Sing it. It's a pretty sad flag. It's had several repairs and it needed another, but
It gets whipped around up there.
it does. It is a well-used flag. Alright, there it is. We are officially countryless. So we leave Mexico here and sail off to new adventures.
We want to give a huge shout out to all of our patrons out there that support us, especially a huge thanks to Sailing Sometimes, Rick, Brian, you guys are awesome.
Also John, Ray, and Fred, thank you guys so much. Without you guys, these videos wouldn't be possible.
Thank you very much for hanging in there, and until next time,
Adios.
cheers. Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Nicaragua, is that right?
Yeah.
Let's see what we find off the bow today. Every now and then you come across, oh, look at that beautiful sea creature. Oh, it's one of those loud ones, never mind.